I'm the Grow Boss, and this is Cannabis Hotline. This is a show where we can talk about anything about cannabis that you have questions about. For instance, you want to start growing, or you're growing and have questions. I wrote the Grow Book and Equipment Guide, so we can talk about growing. And that's exactly what we're going to do in this video, because I've got a caller that wants to take over the world, and he has the space to do it. And when you listen to the call, you can hear early on, he starts out with 1,000 watts in each room. And I just want to point out to you now that listen to where it starts. He's concerned about nutrients, but it's really the light. And in the end, the nutrients don't have anything to do with it. And I'd like to point out, if you've watched a few of these videos, that this call has a real similar tone and time to all the other ones. You can hear the understanding as the hour passes. All right, I'm the Grow Boss. Thanks for listening.
I'm going to be starting my first grow, and I want to hear your opinions on what I have going on, but I also have questions. Like, I want to know, like, what I do have questions like nutrients. Like, I want to know what I need. I know you say, nutrients don't have jack shit to do with everything, but I just want to know, like, I want to make sure I have everything I need for every situation that I might come across, as far as like products, like I know like CalMag and all that stuff. That's what I'm talking about. And then, just anything you have to say about my situation, ask away. Like about the rooms, space, what I have going on,
Okay, that's a pretty good place to start. So let's start with, what are you actually looking for in terms of yield? Are you just growing for yourself?
No, I'm actually growing for someone.
Okay, so let's define how much yield you want, because like you said, nutrients don't have anything to do with this. Yield is based on light. So let's pick a yield. Do you want a half a pound a month, 2 ounces a week? Do you want a pound a month, 2 pounds a month? What are you shooting for here?
I am shooting for, I am going to have, in 2 rooms, I'm going to have 2,000 watt lights.
Okay, what are the sizes of the rooms?
One is 16 by 13, and one is 13 by 13.
Okay. Well, you wouldn't put equal lights in both rooms. And since you have a 2-room rotation, because you only have 2 rooms, either we're going to have to add tents to change that, or we're just going to use the rooms as is. So you have more than enough space. So let's go back and decide on a yield now. Are you eating? Are 2 people eating and smoking? What are you guys doing with this?
Oh, no. This is going to be, I smoke, but Jesus, barely.
Okay.
I have a medical condition and it helps me, but I don't even do it all the time. Like, it's maybe like a couple times a week or a few times. And, so that is not even like, this is, I guess you could say income.
Okay,
income. So it is for myself.
Straight
for
donation value. I understand exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So now that we know that you're looking for income, let's talk about the space, because are you looking for the max yield that you can get from the space?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Are you prepared to put in electrical and air conditioning?
Yes, I already have that kind of going on.
Okay, so what's your AC going to be? How are you going to handle air conditioning?
So I'm going to have a split mini duct system.
Okay, perfect. You have a split, no better way. You may end up with a dehumidifier and flour for sure. You may need one in bed as well.
I definitely
sealed. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So the rooms are sealed, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Are you going to add CO2?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm actually going today to pick up 2 tanks.
Okay. Womp, womp. Maybe when my show gets a little better, I'll have sound effects. But for the moment, in a 13 by 13 room.
Cheers.
We'll go over CO2 in a minute, but
Thanks
I'll tell you
by.
you're on the cusp of buying a burner for several reasons.
Okay.
We'll go over why in a minute, but you're going to have 2 rooms. So you have 13 by 13 and 13 by 16. In 13 by 13, you can put 4 5 by 5s and have some walking room. You have the space for 4 5 by 5s and some walking room. And in flower,
another thing.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you. I am going to use light movers.
Okay. All right. So let's put light mover on the list, and before we decide what you're going to use, let's just work through the problem, because I always recommend light movers because you get 25% more light for the same electricity cost. But that doesn't always mean that light movers work in every situation. So let's first determine how you're going to set this room up. For instance, how tall are your ceilings?
8 foot.
Okay, so we now know you're doing a scrod, right? So there's no doubt about it. You're doing a scrod.
Yeah.
Do you have a plant limit?
Do I have a what?
A plant limit.
My limit is however much you think I should have.
Oh.
I definitely wasn't going to pack them. I want to do this smartly. I'm not trying to grow a gazillion and then have no room and then be screwed and then, not be able to handle, I want space. I want it to be nice and neat, but, have as much as, I can.
Okay, I understand. So we're looking for how to most effectively use the room. I'm with you on that one. But my question about plant limit is you're not limited to like 12 or 24 or anything like that, are you?
I would say maybe.
Okay. All right. We'll just keep it as a concern as we go. So we know we're doing a scrod. We know that you have enough space.
What's up, Viking?
In flower.
Welcome.
You've got 16 longs, so you could do.
Does it still sound like I got this thing up my ass?
6 5 by 5s, 2 wide, 3 long, with a tight walk around space. So we know that you have the potential for up to 6,000 watts in flower, and that would require 3,000 watts in
coffee and joint,
maybe
buddies.
4,000, depending
Smoke them if you
on
got
how
them.
you choose
Wake and
to do
bake.
your rotation. Because depending on how many plants you have and how long you're in veg, and if you do have 6 lights in flower, which would be tight for that space, but doable, if you do have 6 lights in flower, then you're probably going to want to have 4 in veg. And if you do even though all 6 lights are going to be on at the same time, if you do 3 in a row every month, so every month you get a harvest, you know what I mean? A 3 light rotation, even though you're in one room, if you start one row off at 1 month apart from the second row, you're still going to sort of have a 3 light rotation where you get 3 lights come up every month. So now that we know the space, do you want to harvest every month or everything all at once?
Right now, I'll probably just do everything all at once until I could better get things down.
Okay. So you're going to have 6,000 watts coming up all at once in flower, which means you're probably going to want 4,000 watts in veg, 3,000 for sure. I got to tell you, the addition of 1,000 watts at that point is meaningless for you in terms of electrical costs, but it's huge in terms of the size of the plants that you're going to put into flower. And I'll go over that with you in a minute. But you're going to have to make a choice here, because you're going to buy 1,000 watts per row in flower. You're going to buy 6,000 watts in flower for this space. That's your max production. You have 2 choices. Either you buy the supersized hood and you just hang them from the ceiling. Like, you're going to end up with something like that 15 plant. I sent you an email with the pictures if you can look at them. But I have a picture called 15 plants, and that's the one with 15 plants for 2 lights. You have 3 lights. So you're probably going to end up with 20 plants per 3 lights. somewhere right in there. Maybe 18 with a haze, 22 with a indica, and you have 2 rows. So you're going to end up with 40 plants in flower. So you're going to have 40 plants in veg. So you can see we're running up on 80 plants. And that's what like a healthy 4-week veg. I'm not suggesting that you do a sea of green. This is a screen of green. It'll be a 4-week veg. So, okay. So in this particular case, you can get 3 supersized hoods, or you can get 2 light rails and 3 smaller hoods. Because when you look at some of the Bushmaster videos that I put up, even with a light mover in an 8x10 space, if you don't completely move the hood off the plant, you're going to get a hot spot where the little bit of light stays. And you can see by some of those Bushmaster videos that 1,000 watts will do 20 plants
this is about
in an
different light,
8x10 space.
These people are still having the same fucking problems.
Supersized
even
hood.
with LEDs.
So in your case, depending on what deal you get, see, you might find 2 light movers.
Nutrients.
I sell in my store
Trying to go
for
too
$100
fast in the
sometimes.
wrong fucking year.
So you might find 2 light movers, and then smaller hoods are cheaper than bigger hoods. But you might find 6 big hoods. Like, I bought a stack of hoods with no glass. I've got like 20 no glass hoods here. I sell them for $100. So you could get 6 hoods for $100. And you don't need, well, $100 each, but you don't need, you don't need in flower, you don't need to spend money on digital dimmable ballasts. Now, they are cheap nowadays. So you might buy 6 digital dimmable. But you might also very well find a store like mine that sells the magnetics for $75. And the reality is, you're never going to dim them. And if you did dim them, you would dim them to 750 for the first 4 weeks, and then you would turn it up to 1,000. And I'll get into why that is later. But at that point, it doesn't matter. You would just put the 1,000-watt lights 5 feet away, and the plant would in 4 weeks, the plant would be 4 feet away. So it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, gotcha.
All right. So now you've got 6 lights in flower, maybe small hoods on light movers, maybe big hoods, no light movers. And then in veg, you're probably going to want, because of the plant count, you're probably going to want supersized hoods. And you're going to have a choice to make, and it may not be, I can only put so fine a point on it until you actually buy the plants to do this. But you may want supersized hoods in veg. You may want smaller hoods on light movers. You may do something like the Bushmaster does, where he puts those supersized hoods on light movers, and you can see how big he veggies 20 plants.
Yeah.
But it is a 6-week veg. You don't need as much time, so you might. It's a little bit of discretion and what you happen to experience and what you happen to get a deal on. So, I mean, there's always deals, right? Sometimes 2 6-packs are cheaper than a 12-pack. How does that even happen?
Yeah. Yeah, I gotcha.
Right. So there is a little bit of this way or that, but in no circumstance for you is it a T5. I mean, that would be an entirely different situation. That's not really a takeover situation. You have a split. So there's no way we would ever deal with a T5.
Yeah.
Okay. So in your case now, you sort of have these 2 positions in these 2 rows of 3 in flower. You have a couple of options. You could do small hoods on movers. You could do big hoods, no movers. Dude, you could do big hoods on movers. There comes a point where, you could do lots of stuff, but it's not good. But there's other things to focus on, like CO2. And we'll come back to that in a sec. Okay. Now we move over to veg. You have 6,000 watts at flower. I'm just going to say they're all at 6,000 watts. When you go into flower, the plants are going to be 5-6 feet away from the light. They're going to finish 4 to 5 feet away from the light. The further, the better. So you're going to have a minimum of 3,000 watts in veg, and I suggest 4. And here's why. When you, at the end of veg, you're going to have to take, regardless of whether you do all 6 lights at the same time or 3 lights every other month, you're going to have to put 4,000 watts into flower if you do all 6 lights, because you have to have 4,000 watts worth of plant in veg ready to be moved into a trellis. And when you move a plant into a trellis, if they were under 4 lights, let's say you had 40 plants under 4 lights, you're now going to have 40 plants under 6 lights. So you're going to have 20 plants per 3 lights instead of 20 plants per 2 lights. By the very definition, you've thinned them out. The light will penetrate deeper. And if you weave them into a trellis, instead of the canopy being 1 foot or 18 inches tall, it might be 6 to 10 inches tall, which means they're half as high and they're thinner. They're not as tightly packed. That means the same light is going to penetrate deeper. And this is what I always describe as the shift from veg into flower. And there's a couple of ways that people do this. Some people will veg with a 400 and then put them under their 1,000 watts. And that's insane, because if today the plant is
rolling
400
up and
watts
smoking,
big,
boys,
tomorrow it's 400 watts big. And if you're going to finish with 1,000, how can you jump to 1,000? You have to go 500, 600, 700, 800. So in your case, do you know how to drive stick shift on a car? Do you know how to do that?
Yes.
Okay. So you have a couple of choices, the top of second and the bottom of third. And I always describe it like this because at the top of second, you're at 4,900 RPM and you have more power but less gas miles. And then you shift into third, the RPMs drop, the power drops, and your gas mileage increases. And the problem is when you have 6,000 watts in flower and you have 3,000 watts in veg, if you take 3,000 watts worth of plants, you take 40 plants, you divide them in half, and you put 1,500 watts on one row, and you put 1,500 watts worth of plant on the other row. You have 3,000 watts worth of light, dude. It's too much. So you either have to raise the light until 1,500 watts worth of plant, or getting 2,000 watts worth of light, or you have to dim them. But what I suggest in your case is that you're going to power shift. So in veg, you're going to grow 4,000 watts worth of plants, 40 plants, 100 watts each. I mean, that's a real plant. That's as high as your waist. I mean, you're going to be in 3-gallon buckets in veg. Just like the Bushmaster does, you're going to have these big plants. You might do a tight one. Then you're going to thin the plant out, strip it down. You're going to weave it into a trellis and flower. So if you have 4,000 watts in veg and you strip them down to 3,500 watts, that's 1,000 more than if you took 2,000 watts and stripped them down to, that's 3,000 watts and stripped them down to 2,500. And here's why that's important. If you put 2,000 watts worth of plant under 3,000 watts worth of light, and you put it 6 feet away, perfect. Because when the plant's 5 feet away, it's going to be 4 weeks later, and they're going to be at almost 3,000. And by the time they finish, they'll finish 4.5 feet away from the light. But you can't give 2,000 watts worth of plant 3,000 watts worth of light. You can't thin them down and give them more light. That would be like thinning them down and then giving them more nutrients. They never want more. So you have this fine line that you're going to walk. And if you only, technically, you have this fine line you're going to veg. Because if you don't veg them big enough, you're never going to get the yield that you want. And if you go from 1,500 to 3,000, then it works like this. You go from veg into flower. You put your 20 plants under 2 lights. And that's 2,000 watts under over 1,500 watts worth of plant. And that's great. And then in 4 weeks from now, when your plants are much bigger, you're going to pull those plants in under all 3 lights. So you go from 1,500 to 2,000 to 3,000. And now you're halfway through flower, and you're at 3,000, 5 feet away. And then by the time you finish flower, you'll be at 3,000, 4 feet away. But you had that first 4 weeks where you were only under 2,000 watts. and they were 5 feet away. Now, if you veg with 4,000 watts instead of 3, and you move bigger plants, not more, just bigger. If you have 2,000 watts worth of plant, you would spin them out under 3,000 watts, 6 feet away, just like you did 2,000 watts, 6 feet away in the other scenario when you only had 3,000 watts in veg. So what I'm suggesting is that on week 1 of flower, you could have all 3 lights on, even though they're a little further away, because you had more light in veg and grew bigger plants. That's the only way that systems like yours, where you're looking for that yield, that's the only way that it works. Because if you don't veg enough, you're not going to hit 1,000. If you veg with 400 and you go into flower, plant's 400 watts big, you turn the light up to 500 watts next week, then 6, then 7, then 8, then 9, and by the time you turn your flower light up to 1,000, it's over. You never got to 6th gear. Your job in your system, the most important thing you can do is get to 1,000 watts as quickly as you can. And the only way to do that is to veg bigger plants that go into flower more prepared and more ready to flower. Do you see that?
Gotcha.
Okay, that's the single biggest mistake that people make on large rotations, large grows like yours. And, I say large grow because it's a home grow. I know it's not a facility, but, I mean, you're talking about 10,000 watts and another 2,500 watts in AC. And that's a real investment in electricity every month.
Yeah.
So you want as much power. You're not looking for mileage. And notice I do not say quality, because if you get the quantity by definition, the quality is there. And you'll read in the comments sometimes, oh, you focus too much on quantity. I want quality. The only people that ever say that, and I'm telling you this now because I don't ever want to hear you say it with 10 likes. The only people that say, I want quality over quantity are the people that are failing. Because the people that are succeeding, how do you grow 2 pounds per 1,000 and not have it be the fucking bomb? Because you didn't overwater, you didn't overfeed, you didn't put the light too close, you didn't get the bud too hot, you didn't cook off the gland. By definition, you got great fucking bud. So the only people, the only people that will ever tell you, well, I don't care about quantity, because they're failing, and it's called sour grapes. So sorry I took 2 minutes to vent on the comments and the videos, but it's a valuable lesson. It's a valuable lesson.
Plus, it'd just be genetics, basically, that are going to get you the quality, or no?
No. All you have to know, everything today is so good that it doesn't matter what genetics you have. The reality is you have to not kill the shit. That's the one condition.
Gotcha.
Right. Now, and I'll back that up with this. I've been smoking pot since I've been 12. I grew up on Mexican border weed. I get as high today off 100% wax as I do on Mexican border weed. And there's a reason for it. Because you only have so many receptors in your brain.
Yep.
And once they're full, and that's by the second hit you smoke pot, you can't get any higher. It's not like eating it. When you eat it, it goes through your liver and into your blood-brain differently, because the liver metabolizes it differently than your lungs. So that's why you can fall over and get paranoid when eating it, and that's why you don't get like that when you smoke it, because you only have so many smoke receptors in your head. And that's why you don't have to worry about quality. Listen, you can smoke 100% wax and not get any higher than 30% gorilla or 8% border weed. It's the same thing. Now, there are some time night effects, there are some energetic effects, but that's not the mental high. The reality is, once you smoke pot every day, it's a maintenance drug. Maybe not like Vicodin, but it's a maintenance drug like cigarettes or alcohol or anything else.
Or
cannabis is
like that.
Not for you. For somebody like me, one of the side effects is partly ADD. It helps me focus. So there are different side effects, but the main receptor, the cannabinoids, they only affect the one way when you smoke it and several ways when you consume it. So I promise you, if you get the yield you're supposed to, how could you possibly end up with anything less than something spectacular?
Gotcha.
And that's why I just want to point out that, and I always point it out at this point, is that in this whole conversation, everything about your yield has been about growing this properly and not killing them. We determine your yield based on space and light, the rotation, and your plant count, but not once we mention pH or your nutrients. Because until you get 2 pounds from every light every time, how will you know if there's any difference between nutrients?
Gotcha.
Right. Until you're good at this, dude, you're buying yourself a super gangster system. I mean, 10 lights is, it's cheap because they're $200 the setup, new. But I mean, you're going to be into this for what? With an AC and everything, 8 Gs, right? So you're into this for less than 10,000 for sure with fans and filters. So
that's when there was money in it.
I'll draw this out in the video. You'll see what I'm talking about. But you can see that that's not even a car. I mean, that's not even, what I mean? A 240Z is 15,000 now. So I'm okay with you spending the money because it's the right equipment in the right way to use it. And as you practice with it and get better, you'll get closer to what I'm saying. So you have the right equipment and it works for you. And it is a lot to put together at once, but you're on the right track and it's not very expensive. So, enjoy yourself. You spend more on less. But in the end, you see that, and I do this on purpose because I've done it so many times. I've worked out your whole garden down to the CO2, including the light movers, bucket size, veg time, all of it. I've worked it all out without ever mentioning nutrients. And that's because you cannot know your nutrients until you know everything else. And by that I mean not which brand, even though I suggest Humboldt because they're inexpensive and they don't try to hide the fact, they're not trying to get you to crush your plants with more nutrients. And so in this particular case, when I show you guys that picture of the 10-week veg, a plant after 10 weeks of veg, you have 3 plants per 2 lights. But when you look at that other picture with 15 plants per 2 lights, those plants are 10 weeks old too, but they're 6 weeks into flower. And so what I always ask you guys is this: would you feed 3 10-week-old plants in 25-gallon buckets under 2,000 watts like you would 15 plants halfway through flower that are still 10 weeks old and are under 10,000 watts? Would you feed a 10-week-old veg plant, 3 per light, like 15 plants, still 10 weeks old, halfway through flower? Would you feed them the same? And the answer is, of course, no.
No.
Of course, no, because it's not the same thing by a long shot.
It's not a tree.
So I always ask you guys this.
It's a plant, a bush,
you don't
a tree.
know how long your veg is, how long your flower is, and how big of a bucket you're in. How could I possibly know what nutrients? So what I do know is this, is if you're going to finish with a 1,000-watt light, and you have a 4-week veg and an 8-week flower, and you're in 2 weeks finish, then you're going to be at 1,000 watts at week 10. Great, then you should be at 1,000 ppm at week 10. Because if you look at that picture where I show you the 4 T5 lights, I put 10 plants under a 100-watt light. Well, in this case, this guy has 10 plants under a 100-watt light. They can only grow 10 watts big. And then there's 10 plants right next to it under a 200-watt light. They can only grow 20 watts big because you can't grow 21 watts, 201 watts under a 200-watt light. And then the next 2 rows are both the same light. They're both 200 watts. But what the guy did was he halved the plant count. So instead of 10 plants per light, he now has 5. And 5 plants under a 200-watt light can grow 40 watts big. Right. And if you continue on, you can grow 1 plant 200 watts big. Like, how can the nutrient manufacturer know if you have 20 10s or 1 200? How the fuck would they know? So there's no way to plan your nutrients until everything else is done, which is just one more reason why I tell you nutrients don't have anything to do with this. Because until you know the size of the bucket, here's an example. If you're vegging in a 1 and you're feeding every day and then you move to a 3, you're going to be feeding every third day. I mean, it's 2 times the buffer. It's 3 times the amount. Okay, so you're going to be watering every third day. And if you go to a 5-gallon, you'd be watering every 5th day. Now, let's say you put a 1-gallon bucket in a 5-gallon bucket. Would you water on the same schedule? Would you feed a different amount? Because when you transplant from a 1 to a 5, technically there's 4 gallons worth of soil, cocoa, whatever. There's 4 gallons worth of media in there that don't have any roots. And so if your plant wanted 500 yesterday in a 1-gallon bucket, and then you put it in a 5 and you feed with 500 ppm, then there's 4 gallons of soil with 500 ppm in it for sure. So the next time you water, those 2,000 ppm worth of nutrients would get redistributed, and all 5 gallons would have about 400 ppm. Hey, a 500 ppm plant with 400 ppm, great. But if you fed that with 500 the next time, then there would be 4 gallons of media that had 1,000 left over, and the 1 gallon where the roots are would use up all the nutrients. The problem actually gets worse, because if you go from a 1 to a 5 and you continue to feed every day, clearly that's overwatering. And if you fed a third time with 1,000, the roots aren't going to grow into 3 times the amount of nutrients they want because the salt's too high. So you've now pigeonholed your plant in the 1 gallon. You're never going to get the yield out because the roots couldn't go anywhere. So when you transplant from veg to flower, remember, whatever that plant was Monday night, it's the same thing Tuesday no matter what you do to it. Unless, of course, you strip it and thin it out, then it gets smaller. But you can't just suddenly give it more, because that's not how growing works, whether that be light or nutrients. And I would also like to point out at this time, that I have made it like almost 40 minutes into the call and have not mentioned pH lockout, because just like I tell you, nutrients are worthless. pH lockout doesn't exist, because the soil or the cocoa will buffer it for you. There is no, you set the pH before you water, but pH doesn't change yield, because so far we've figured out everything. We know the rotation, the light, the ppm. We know everything except the CO2. 40 minutes into this call, we know everything, including the ppm and the bucket size and the frequency of watering. I mean, pH has, 5 to 7, man. You can't, think about that. 6.1, 6.2, 5.8. Yields based on light, photosynthesis, and anywhere from 5 to 7. If the plant wants to absorb some nutrients rather than others, the plant will change the pH of the media or the water. They'll dump ions to reach the nutrients. So the best thing you could do is literally follow the path that we've set up. You have a couple choices. Like,
I want to pause this. I want to change the video, but I want to play this through. But I'm trying to play this for a couple people out there that are trying to change their nutrients or their media that they're growing in, but they're growing underneath the same fucking light. You probably know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to call him out by name, but I see him around a lot, and he's trying bigger and better things. And dude, you need more light, not nutrients or not media.
I'm the Grow Boss. I write the Grow Book and Equipment Guide. And in this video, I specifically want to address why I say it takes 400 watts to grow marijuana. Because I get a lot of comments from the videos about you guys grow with 100 watt this or 150 watt that or that, all sorts of stuff. But I own a hydro store. And when people come to me for advice, they want to know how to be successful. They don't want to be the guy that comes in my store and is experimenting with something, or that they read something online. These are grown-ass adults. They're not children trying to get one over on the system. These are people that want an intelligent plan. So I'm going to explain to you why I tell these people that 400 watts is the minimum amount of light that you can grow if you want to successfully grow marijuana.
Now, you already know that I tell you, you're going to get a half pound from a 400 watt light. You're going to get a pound from a 600 and a pound and a half from 1,000. And if you only have one light, you'll get a harvest every 90 days. And if you have two lights, you'll get a harvest every 60 days. And if you have a 3-light rotation, that you'll get a harvest every 30 days. Of course, if they're 600 watts, you get a pound every 30 days. If they're 1,000 watts, you get a pound and a half every 30 days. But my observation is that yield is based on light. So people come to me because they want to grow. They want marijuana. They want to be successful. And they do not want to experiment or end up with their equipment in my used pile of equipment shit. So what I tell them is this. Marijuana is weed. It grows at a rate of about 35 watts a week if you allow it to fully express itself. Can it grow on less? Sure. You can starve a person on less calories, but make no mistake that the light is the calories. And that marijuana is a 12-week process, about 4 weeks in veg and about 8 weeks in flower. So we say it's about 10 weeks long with a little bit of a finish at the end. But growing marijuana is like a 10-week, 12-week process. So if lights...
It's when people fucking come on stream and they're like, hey, I need to improve my yield. I think that I'm going to go to cocoa and I'm going to start feeding 3 times a day and blah, 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 blah. And he's flowering underneath 132 fucking watts.
The energy. And marijuana grows at a rate of 35 watts a week on average in media. Then in 10 weeks, you're at 350 watts. Plus the 2-week finish, a little extra light for the 2-week finish, and you got 400 watts worth of light. And it's T5 light, so it's not even really hot. And if you think about marijuana in terms of how much it takes to grow that half pound with a 400 watt light, it's a tent this big. It's 2 by 4, 2 feet deep, because you have to grow a pound and a half wet to get a half pound dry.
Fuck yeah.
And it's a 3 by 5 if you want to grow a pound dry or a pound and a half wet. And it's a 5 by 5 if you want to grow 4.5 pounds wet or 1.5 pounds dry with a 1,000 watt light. You really can't put a 1,000 watt light in a space like this and expect that yield. So we're talking about space and yield and watts and time. And if you're in hydro, and hydro happens even faster than soil, then the plant would grow at 50 watts a week. And if it's a 10-week process, then you're at 500 watts at week 10. Or why I tell you hydro is 600 watts a week. And I know you can tell me that you can do it with less, and you might. But statistically, if you're looking to be successful, crop after crop after crop, it's not the same thing as coming to my store, spending a bunch of shit, getting bud once, and 30 years later, you be the guy that comes back to my store with the shorts all cut off too short, trying to buy a new system because 30 years ago he was successful. I get that dude every month, and it's ridiculous. He's like 55 years old, and he tells me about what happened back in the 70s. The people that come to my store that ask me how to grow, they want to know how to yield. They don't want to know how to game the system. They don't want to beat anything. They're sick. They want Rick Simpson oil. They don't even smoke. They're doing it for a family member that is sick. These are people that need to yield. And so when we talk about size and space and shape, if truly 400 watts is the minimum amount, then if you have a 125 compact fluorescent and you leave those comments on my videos all the time, oh man, I grew up 125 watt fluorescent, 150 watt LED, and I got some. And again, you may have got some, but I don't consider that successful. I don't consider that successful because you ran your 2,500 watt air conditioner to get almost no yield. And if 400 watts fills up this with T5, compact fluorescents are not as bright as T5. So it would take 600 watt of compact fluorescent to equal this. Also, if this is a 10-week process and the cuttings start like this and they end up, you've seen the pictures of buds, you have to fill up a tent like this to get a half pound. Then when we talk about a computer like this on eBay, this is 125 watts worth of light. If plants grow at 35 watts a week, this is almost 4 weeks. You're not even done vegging, and it's going to be the spindly, sick, thin, purpling piece of shit plant that's never going to produce the weight you want. And That's 4 weeks. If this is a 10-week process and that piece of shit is $399 on eBay, can you see why I laugh at you in your comments for my videos when you talk about this? Because soon as you tell me that you have less than 400 watts, or that you're experimenting, or that you're trying something new because you read something online, or you're trying 18 hours and 6 hours and 20 hours and 24 hours, and you got eggshells in the media because of calcium, the shit that you come into my store with, it's spectacular what you come to my store with. But the reality is, the people that come to my store that want to grow need some very simple information. And this isn't about nutrients, because yield is based on light. What you're looking for is an inexpensive nutrient that always works. Humboldt Nutrients. Sell a lot of it in my store. Inexpensive. Master A and B want a cannabis cup. And it's inexpensive. You don't really have to look for anything past a 1 part or a 2 part. There's organic. But the nutrients merely move the light, the energy, the sugar that the plant creates from the light. The nutrients merely transport that around. So the back of all of the bottles of nutrients on the shelves in hydro stores are based on 1,000 watt, happy, healthy grows. So if you have a 400 watt light, you would have to cut that number by 1/3 just to start.
Chamber music. Well,
which is why I tell you guys that if you have a 400 watt light, that's your finishing ppm. If you're in week 1, you would be at 40 ppm. And is it perfect? No. But for the amount of failure that calls my helpline and comes to my store from using too many nutrients, you can say whatever you want, but the people that come to my store looking to be successful need some guidelines. 400 to 450 ppm does not matter. And if you've got a 400 watt light because you're growing in a closet, like one of those little 1 foot deep, 7 foot cabinets that you created with some sort of whatever, the reality is 400 watt T5, if you can grow 1.5 pounds wet, you'll get 1.5 pounds dry. You start right there. And if I were to put 3 buds in front of you and ask you which one is a 400 watt light, which came from a 6 and which came from 1,000, you could not tell me. You could not tell me if that bud came from an LED like this Kind 750 behind me, or this T5 like this nickel sitting next to me. What I'm trying to get at is, ready? If you just finish without any problems, that's 95% of the job. Because if you overwater, you put the light too close, and you overfeed, and you don't let the plant fully express itself, then none of this matters, right? So when I talk about size and space and shape and yield, and you have all these other opinions, notice I'm not telling you anything. I'm not selling you anything other than my book that reflects my opinions. What I want you to understand is that a plant in week 10 is not 10 times bigger than a plant in week 1. It's 100 times bigger. 2 orders of magnitude bigger. That's when it grows like a weed. And you'll see that people will have their LEDs, they'll have little tiny plants in their hydroton buckets in DWC, and they're this big, the leaves are tight, they're wrinkled between them because they're overwatering. And they've got too much light because it's too intense and their plants are too small. This is a 10-week process. You cannot rush it. There is nothing in my store that accelerates the process. And even if it did, what would it accelerate it to? 7 weeks, 4 weeks? I mean, are you going to cut the start to finish time down to 3 weeks with some product? So once you take the magic and the mystique, and once you don't worry about I shot the sheriff because he took my seat, and once you understand that when I talk about success and yield, I'm talking about in 2016, where a lot of states, you can just go out and buy it and you don't have to buy any equipment. You can just go legally. There is no hiding it now. You can transport it across state lines. Nebraska suing Colorado for that. My point is that all you have to do is pick a yield.
Hey, give me a
find the light that matches it. An ounce a week, that's a 600 watt T5, a 600 watt LED. You want it 1.5 ounces a week? Get yourself a 400 watt veg and a 600 watt flower. I'm not selling anything. I'm merely telling you the math of the situation. So, you know, I'm defending my position about 400 watts. And if hydro grows faster, then the plant grows faster. It grows more. It doesn't necessarily finish faster. You get yields based on light. So the plant grows faster. It gets bigger. But those are my points when I tell you guys that this is what I define as success. Someone that doesn't come in my store that's experimenting. Someone by the second grow gets damn close to the yield that they should, and it's no longer harsh. It's easy. There's a lot less time involved. There's a lot less care. You can leave them the fuck alone because it's a 10-week process. Nothing you do from now till this afternoon is going to change anything. Paycheck to paycheck. Now, when you have 2 gardens like this or 3 gardens, things will start to pick up and you'll be busier as time goes by. But if you only want an ounce a week, then here's a 400 watt T5 from Nickel City. That'll get you 1.5 pounds dry, or 1.5 pounds wet, or a half pound dry every 90 days, which is almost an ounce a week. So if you got a 200 watt veg, you wouldn't need a tent this big because twice the light and flower requires twice the space. That's why we go from a 400 watt veg to a 600 watt flower like this. So if you had a 200 watt veg, you could do it in a smaller space. All I'm trying to do, again, is keep it in the rational zone where it's not taboo, it's not mystique, it's no longer illegal. We can talk about the reality that marijuana is an agricultural crop and nothing more. And in a moment, they'll be growing it outside in fields. They'll be rolling into cigarettes and we'll never know again who produces it. Anyway, I'm the grow boss. That's why I say it requires 400 watts worth of light to grow marijuana. If you think I'm wrong, you can post something in the comment section, or better.
Love the theme songs. Yeah, we can have a topic on no-till soil, John Doe. Why don't you call 84 Grow Boss and tell me what you would like to know about no-till soil? I'm really an indoor store. This is really like indoor cannabis. You can grow outdoors, but if you put it in a pot outdoors and you come in and you buy a bunch of media from me, I don't know what you'd like no-till soil. Do you want me to tell you to rotate crops? Would you like to do potatoes and then corn and then cucumbers and then zucchini? And then I don't know what you want me to tell you about no-till soil. People ask me all the time about what kind of soil mix should I do? And I'm like, soil mix? Like you've got a 400 watt light. You're growing with compact fluorescence. And it doesn't even matter. Even if you were growing with the best lights and the best whatever, here's a guy comes in last week on the show, buys 3 bags of ocean forest soil. So I said, hey, why are you buying 3 bags of ocean forest soil? He goes, oh, I'm going to transplant. I've never fed. And so what happened? I tried to sell him some nutrients, and this was his plant. Hang on a sec. This was his plant that was outside, and he has never fed this plant. Okay. And he transplanted that plant into this container with 3 more bags. He didn't even buy nutrients. He just bought 3 more bags of soil. He said, fuck it. Look how big the plant got with 1 bag of soil, and I've never fed it. So he decided to buy 3 more. And then he decided, just because it's funny, to spruce up his plant a little so it wasn't so obvious. It's like hanging red Christmas decorations on your little red Christmas balls. Makes it look like a little apple tree. Check this out. It's smart, right? Now it just looks kooky, but definitely not like cannabis. So when you guys ask me to go over stuff like this, I suppose I could go over no-till soil, but I'm not going to do it if you like, you know what I mean? Like if you're growing onions and vegetables, like that is definitely not what the show is about. All right. Let's see, what do we got? Monsanto wants to make GMO cannabis. Listen, if you speed, if you drink soda, if you have more calories and are chubbier than you should be, You don't need to worry about Monsanto. There are so many ways that you can improve your life. If you're not spending too much money at Whole Foods, 916. Good morning. You're on with the Grow Boss.
Hey, good morning, Grow Boss. Glad you took my call so early.
Yes, sir.
Hey, quick question on this Kind. I was able to pick up a Kind LED 750, but for my setup, I'm really using only a 400 watt. In the last 2 weeks, I go to a 600 watt HPS. So, I mean, in theory, I'm never really going to run it at 100%. But my question to you is on the 750, because I see your videos, you really push the Kind LEDs, you like them a lot. At 50%, would that equal 375 in theory at 50%?
Okay, so let me ask you this question. If I tell you 3,900 RPMs, does that equal peak horsepower? Does that equal good mileage? Is that a dump truck and you're about to spin a bearing? Is it a Ferrari or a motorcycle and you're not even in the power band yet? What we're talking about here is, what you're asking me here is, if you have 50% the light, is it equal to 350 watts? Let's say it is. But how about let's say it's equal to 400 watts. How about this? How about you describe to me how big that light physically is? What is the footprint of that light?
Ooh,
18 inches.
That question.
18 inches by 18 inches. The light's about 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet.
Okay.
See what I'm saying? The dimension is 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet.
Light, dumb fuck.
Okay, so what you have is 1.5 square feet. You have 1.5 times 1.5 square feet. Oh my God. So what? 1.5 plus 0.7. So 2.25 square feet. You have 2.25 square feet.
I do the same.
This is a 4'8" bulb. It is 400 watts also. It is 2 feet wide by 4 feet long. It is 8 square feet. What I'm suggesting is that the question that you're asking is accurate. Yes, it's probably 375 watts, let's say. However, it's 375 watts in 75% less area. I mean, think about what we're talking about here. This is a 2x4, 8 square feet, 400 watts. You have 400 watts in 2.25 square feet.
Yeah, I see what you're getting at. I mean, I would have to move that. I would have to put it on a light mover if I was going to.
Right, or you would have to raise it.
Raise it up.
Either one. You either have to raise it or move it.
Right, you'd have to raise. Okay, cool. That's what you know what? I was just looking. I just didn't understand, because if you were to turn that thing down, I mean, I'm reading your book, watts equals weight. So if you're turning it down, I think that the max on watts on this XL 750, I think it was 420 what I was reading. So if you turn that down, you're let's say half that, you're going to be at 220. So I'm thinking, oh, well, how does that turn around with your watts and weight and your book theory? So I just didn't quite understand it and trying to put it all together. That's all.
Okay, listen, I can tell you, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do better than that. I'm going to show you the video of exactly how to tell South Park measure from, South Park. Oh, okay, dude. There is a very, hang on a second. I don't think this one's it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay, this.
What does about penis size, we can't just use a tape measure. We need a scale and a protractor as well. Let's look at it on the graph here. Follow along.
Dude,
with me on your study sheets, kids.
The South Park, dude.
What does matter is
it's just super funny, because he's got this whole equation going on for how to measure.
Length protractor as well. Follow along with me on your study sheets, kids.
There you go.
What?
That's it for that. Can't try anymore. Okay, so there's this huge equation for measuring it. So if we look at how to measure it from behind the balls, we're talking about, well, let's look at every vendor's website. Every vendor's website tells you their LED mimics the sun. Their LED, right, gets more whatever. and it's a better spectrum, and they tell you that your dumb ass should put your LED 24 inches over the plants. Basically, what I'm telling you is that every LED manufacturer has no idea how to grow. Because anybody that tells you to put a light 24 inches over your plants doesn't know how to grow. Agreed?
Yeah, you can kill it. Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed. Totally agreed.
So what we're talking about here is
like,
go on.
Go ahead.
No, sir, go on.
I'm saying that I just fact that this is a very dimmable light that it's kind of like that. It might be a really perfect light, So I just wanted to call. I just didn't understand the whole, I guess, the equation of the watts, the weight, the watts on the LED side. It's a little confusing when you look at the max watts on it. I'm like, I better call and ask. I don't get it.
Well, that's my point is if you look at the electricity, it draws 440 watts. I mean, that's the direct measurement of electricity consumed. What they're telling you is it performs like a 750 watt light. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about the third in front of the balls. Pay attention to the back 2/3. But at some point, I'm just and listen, Kind LED makes a great product. But in terms of do I push them? Listen, they advertise in my book. There's no loyalty for me to buy Kind LED, Mars LED. Anybody that tells you that their light mimics the sun and outdoor bud is worth half of indoor bud, and they tell you that their light grows outdoor bud at half the value of indoor light, I mean, that's the reality of the situation. Outdoor is worth half indoor. And if outdoor is grown with sunlight and you're bragging that your product is just like sunlight, therefore your product grows outdoor bud, therefore your bud's worth half as much. Then they tell you put it 24 inches. Then they tell you it's the perfect spectrum. And then the best part is I still, to this day, yesterday, had somebody come in my store and ask me, are LEDs there yet? What the fuck? Are LEDs there yet? LEDs are never, ever, never, ever going to be there with respect to growing cannabis, even if they were the same price as an HID light. I know because I sell them to good growers, because good growers always think they're going to get better and they're going to do something else. end up buying the LEDs back. How do you think I got Kind LEDs? And this is literally like my Kind LED collection, because a lot of stores don't like carrying LEDs because you tend to not make any money off of them. They have a much lower profit margin than the rest of the equipment in my store.
This is outdated, but that's because there were a lot of Blurple lights, right? I'd have to say.
Boom, couple of Kind LEDs, 2 of the K3600s right there.
The bar lights
and then
coming in.
There's 2 750s right there. Now I sold 6 of these to a damn good grower. I bought 4 back. He sold 2 off. These are the last 2 I have left. Here's a guy who came in and bought that one right there in that brown box. That's a K5 1000 dimmable. Now, in all honesty, like I have more HID lights used than anything else. So I'm not suggesting that it's the product. Kind makes a great product. What I'm suggesting is this. Plants require nothing from you. They require less light than you think, less nutrients than you think. They require pretty much nothing from you. And yet everybody wants to do more. So the 750s, see Fearbus, if you come into the store, you can have those 750s for $900 for one. You can have $800 each for the pair. And so my observation here is, soon as you get a grower that thinks they're smarter than the average bear, soon as you get a grower that thinks they're going to save money on heat, soon as you get a grower that goes outside the normal trajectory of success, it's over. It doesn't happen. And so if you start with a product, all right, sweet. Thanks for the call. All right. If you start with a product that's outside the range of success, and I can grow with LEDs. I can grow with every product in my store. I can grow with every product, even if I say I don't want to grow with it. There's just as much reason for it like that. What I'm suggesting is, it isn't what you think. And the more you spend on your garden and the more expensive your lights are, the less you end up getting. And it doesn't matter what a facility does, because you're not a facility. This is like an indoor grow show where we talk about like indoor growing stuff. And LEDs, they have, even if you came in here and bought those LEDs at a sick deal, right? I mean, what's the argument for buying used with LEDs? I mean, the bulbs last 50,000 hours. You're never going to have to replace the bulbs again. People come in and tell me that shit all the time. And I tell you, dude, I don't know 20 growers that outlast 3 bulbs. You know, and I'm a grow store, and I don't know 20 growers that outlast 3 bulbs. It's a high turnover rate. So all of these things that you're buying literally have nothing to do with actually growing cannabis. They have to do with marketing. Got some last weekend. So Hanep, OG Kush, Mr. Hanep is picking up full spectrum LEDs today for our grow. Even if you got LEDs at HID price, I would never do it. Got some last weekend. Now to finish up. Now, as soon as you start saying multiple LEDs, listen, if you use 440 watts worth of electricity, that LED is going to get 440 watts worth of electricity hot. The light bulb, the lights don't get hot like an HID, but the ballast sure, the components sure get hot. You're using 440 watts worth of electricity, man. It's going to get hot. And if you put up a couple of them and you got 1,000 watts worth of electricity, it's like an amp. It's going to get hot. As soon as it gets hot, you have to add an AC. Once you add an AC, why did you buy LED? Why did you buy an LED? Sin City Grower. I know nothing about LEDs and cobs and white light twitch. Nothing about drivers. Listen, man, I don't need to know any of those words. I made a video where we literally I made a video where I just thermographed, and people can tell me I don't know anything, whatever. Listen, man, I've got more degrees than most people, so we can start by showing me some respect that I'm pretty good at what I do. But I've literally am the guy who thermographed LEDs, T5s. I'm the guy who puts all the information. Crazy results, right? I'm the guy who puts it together, right? I'm the guy who heat guns them. Here's the difference between them all, right? Here's me heat gunning a kind LED K5. I'm just saying, I'm the guy who has the results. So people can tell me I don't know anything, but I would just like to say that you are welcome. You are welcome. He knows nothing. I mean, dude, first, he can't spell. Second, Sin City Grower. The number's 84. Grow Boss. Call me in. If you're an LED manufacturer, call me in. Tell me how stupid I am. Tell me how PAR is fucking awesome and how I can show you guys growing. And you tell me all about PAR, and I'll show you all about how T5 haters say, what? Tell me all about your PAR. Tell me how fucking smart you are. Tell me how you need to spend $1,000 on a light when this guy did it for $200 per. Look at that bud and tell me there's a difference in that bud. You can tell me whatever you want. You can tell me how stupid I am. You can tell me that I know nothing. You can tell me that you know everything and you can name every component. But I bet you don't know wavelengths like I do. And I bet you can't calculate the different types of refraction like I can. And I bet there's a lot of things I can do. And you can put whatever words you want up here. You know what I mean? Like, listen, I just love this. I love it when you use, I love you. Okay, he knows nothing about LED, nothing about cobs and white light.
And they didn't have any
TWCH, which I don't, nothing about drivers.
Listen, they probably had glass in them, so the glass even heated up on the other side of the LED.
I walked into Petco last night, and I saw 5 people staring at the ground. I already knew what this was. So I opened up the door to the grooming, and there it was, unconscious, unresponsive on the floor. So they're on the phone with 911. No pulse, apneic, boom, pull her flat, and I started doing CPR. They put the operator on the phone with me, the 911 operator, and I said, hey, I'm a paramedic nurse. I've started CPR on an unconscious, unresponsive patient who is not breathing and has no pulse. And she said, oh, listen, you're starting off hot. I don't need that from you. So I'm just telling you that there's a lot of people that are missing the point. Here's the 911 operator. I've never met a helpful 911 operator. They all want to tell you what to do. And I'm in the business. I was in the business of 911, and they can't do it. You can tell me whatever you want, but the reality is you can throw a few words, but you're listening to the show. So why don't I have a call from you? I mean, Sin City Grower, why don't I have a call from you? I mean, literally, I'm on my show calling you out. Tell me how fucking awesome LEDs are. Because for every time you show me how awesome LEDs are, I'm going to show you 1,000 growers that have LED problems. Garden Rescue. I'll show you. Listen, I'm the guy who gets the phone calls. I'm the guy who has to answer the questions. I make videos about LEDs and how successful they are. I'm the guy who takes the picture. I'm the guy who has to take the phone calls and answer the pictures when this comes up. When I get this. Nope. When I get.
Okay, let's hear another rant. Did Sin City Grower end up as someone else eventually? I don't know. Do you want to continue watching that one? We can.
When I get this picture, I'm the guy who has to take the phone calls when I get this. I'm the guy who has to answer the questions time after time when I get this.
I guess I need to screen some of these rants that he goes on. These are early LEDs. I mean, look at how hot those blurples are. They're those big cob fucking lights.
I'm the guy who has to answer the questions when people are
LEDs
killing
are
shit
in general.
like
They're
this.
not the little tiny.
I'm the guy who gets
lights
phone call after phone call with LEDs.
or
I'm
whatever
the guy,
diodes.
Oh, my favorite.
They're like fucking car headlights.
I'm the guy who speaks to thousands of growers. I'm the guy. I'm the man. So I love it when you call me and tell me how you're the man and how I don't know anything. So listen, right now, email me your pictures, show me how awesome you are, and then let's start from there. At least let's have a conversation where you don't just, you know what I mean? Here you are just posting some shit up, and here I am just waiting for your phone call. Where's your phone call? I mean, I'm up, right? I got Skype up. Here it is. I'm waiting. Anyway, so I know nothing about LED cobs and white light, blah, 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 blah. The problem is, I don't believe you know anything about growing, my friend, because soon as you quote me statistics, and believe me, I will outquote you statistics, both on the illumination end. I don't care if it's watts, if you want to talk lumens, if you want to talk par, spectrum, I don't care. I will out jargon you at any level, whether I'm right or wrong. I'll lie and use big words just because it's fun.
Never thought of it that way.
I'll just say some shit. So
like
I'm just pointing out that I'm waiting on your call.
He was a millionaire, right?
So you can tell me I don't know nothing. It's not like I'm banning you from a channel. All right, tomorrow we've got, and we'll just wait the rest of this show if I have to, Sin City Grower, for you to call. But in the meantime, I've got... You can't tell me why I'm wrong, but you sure as shit can tell me that I don't know nothing. But you can't tell me why I'm wrong. All you can do is tell me I don't know nothing because you super smart, and I'm not nearly as super smart as you are. I was hoping I would come back and Sin City would be waiting for me. Okay, so the Hanep people, the lady Hanep sent me, we'll find out in a sec. Was that Sin City? No, that wasn't Sin City Grower. Who was his name? I just love that. I just love it when people tell me how smart they are. Or better, how dumb I am. And I love it when they just show up and they just write some shit down and they don't know how to spell. I mean, maybe if you're out of country, you know what I mean? Second language, that's fine. But to watch and not call in after saying something like that, woo,
Ballsy. Oh, no, still hasn't called me. Oh, OG Kush. Hanep OG Kush. Oh, more stick. Nope, not more stickers. Oh, yeah, this is stuff. And I got more stuff. And this is, oh my God, I just got to deal with the lighting on my show, or I got to deal with my bald head. Hemp Genix, pure hemp CBD oil, help intensive pain rub. And if you want to call in with questions, the number is 84 Grow Boss, because I'm going to open up my presents. And of course, I'll do a little bit more review over. Oh, I'm just going to snort a line of that. Oh, you know what? Let's take a moment and let's, no, whatever this is, you stop. I'm still transmitting, mic on. Okay, let's take a moment and go straight close up. Oh, please, 405.
Fuck you. Fuck
Hey,
you.
Sin
Fuck
City,
you.
tell me this is you.
No, it's not.
Oh,
But I do have a question.
sure.
Oklahoma is about to start legal marijuana here in the next year when they vote for it, and so
This
I
one's
just
kind
kind
of
of want
boring.
to have an idea.
I don't know. I want to switch. I'm sorry. That's how my brain works.
For last, that is just too delicious. All right, give me 30 seconds and we'll start the video. Hi, I'm the Grow Boss. I write the Grow Book and you can go to my website, thegrowboss.com, and click here, photo submission. It'll take you to the free garden review page, and usually you can kill your plants.
Okay.
Photosynthetic. We'll watch some videos. What do you got? Come on, Photosynthetic. What do you got for me? All right, intro's over.
What happened over the weekend?
Oh,
man? My phone
no.
going off while I'm talking here.
Good hair, dude.
Isn't that amazing?
Good hair. Oh, you know who he kind of looks like? He kind of looks like, I'll show you who he looks like. I like this guy already. Who am I thinking of?
He looks like an actor.
You guys know who I'm thinking of? Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Is it who I'm thinking of?
Love this actor.
I can't think of.
Gotta
his
love
name,
this
though.
actor. He's been funny. He's been funny every video I've ever watched him in.
Yep,
Sean
that's exactly
Austin.
who I was
He's got that
thinking of.
cute nose,
Looks
good
just
looking
like him,
guy.
doesn't
You
it?
know what I'm saying? Like, here we go. So Sean Austin.
Yep.
Right. Check this out. Right. Boom. It's like Sean Austin's growing cannabis for us. I love that. All right. Let's see what Sean Austin's got to say. This is photosynthetic.
In-house genetics.
Genetics.
I've run in-house genetics.
In-house
here.
genetics.
My large Marge, Big Bertha stuff, magnificent plants, heavy yield.
Heavy yield. He's got more sticks than buds in the background. Listen, when you guys tell me heavy yields, you should have colas that look like two soda cans stacked on top of each other.
Growers to enter what they're calling the One World One Plant Grower Showcase.
I don't even know what that is. You guys can, if you want to learn about that, go watch Photosynthetic. If you want to grow tiny, shitty-ass plants that don't fill up the trellis and don't turn into colas and grow spears, watch Photosynthetic. Right? Unless he's going to tell you that this is an awful garden and he's missing 75% of his yield, there's not much to learn here. He's got the living soil hay stretched on. How come those fools who use the living soil and hay just can't grow good cannabis? But then none of you can. Okay, tell me all about it. Nice. Look at those awful plants. Oh,
it was very
fixing your mind. This plant right here. Hang on, let me find. I don't know. Let me find another grower that looks exactly like this. I'll show you another plant that looks exactly like this. You're gonna love this. You'll love this. You'll love this one. Where is he? Oh, you'll love seeing them together. Here we go. Okay.
He's got them all.
All right, let's put these two together and let's see if I'm right. Okay. This is this guy's School of Chop that I've tried to help.
Who's that guy?
It's not as insane as it used to be.
You don't know that guy,
but it's still pretty ridiculous.
That guy can't grow.
I mean, here's a guy who's going to tell you everything except growing. This is School of Crop. Watch the plant move.
the guardian.
I'm going to teach you
of
something
the
about
tank.
harmonics, but not much because you guys probably can't handle it. But
make sure it all gets filled out, you know. But I mean,
so we're already through the trellis, and now he's going to try to fill out the trellis after he's put the plant through the trellis. Watch him. This guy weirdly touches his plants. It's weird. It's creepy. But don't worry. See what I mean? Don't worry about it.
all gets filled out.
Yeah, but you're already through the trellis, so it's too fucking late. And I don't know what you're doing with that stand there, but you got a hygrometer. It's another plant killer. But look at the motion of the
I
plant.
just kind of come in here and just bend some of these down here and there.
See how the motion's very tight? Boing!
That's it.
Boing!
Let
It
grow.
doesn't look, it's not like a plant. It doesn't move like a healthy plant. That's because this plant's overwatered and this guy's a plant
Yeah,
killer.
that's it. I mean,
There's also a plant toucher, which
They're
is
all
super
fucking
fucking
plant
weird.
killers, huh?
See how sticky that plant is? Okay. Here it is too. This is the same motion in a plant.
Disturbing to find that, yeah, on some of the lower bud sites, and again, in particular the number 3, quite a few pollen sacs, flower sacs had popped, and I have pulled some beans out of that number 3 cut.
Overwatered, giant container, tiny plant. It's another grower who's working hard to try to fill up the trellis.
You know, it's been going for a couple of months. Maybe.
And yet, here's the plants in the background to the left. See in the background, back left? They're just, you can't fill up the trellis after you fill up the trellis. You have to grow the plant big enough to fill up the trellis and then put it in the trellis. Duh.
Months, 14 months, I think, in here now, and I've got this.
You still don't know how to grow.
Fully dialed in, like I'm
control
my environment.
Fully dialed in. That is. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Let me. Just so you guys know, I'm going to show you what fully dialed in looks like. Okay. Let me just. This is an idea of what fully dialed in looks like.
Plants. So I thought I'd do a quick little video on how much it's plant here. This is an alien.
Let's pick a different one. I thought we'd get that one in there. Yeah, I'm surprised.
No, but I would like to. But yep,
I just want you to see what a good plant looks like and what fully
right
dialed in. This is
now.
Tone
They
G.
only got summer hours. They're
I don't
only
even
open
need to
like,
see any more
Friday,
than
Saturday,
that.
Sundays.
Let's just do this. Let's just refresh this page. Let's just look at the picture for the video. Ask yourself, can you see the floor? No. Can you see the buckets? No. How many plants are there? Don't know. The garden's so fucking full of big, green, lush, delicious cannabis plants. Okay.
I appreciate all you guys for showing up.
Plant killer. Look at the plants in the background. I can't tell how many plants they are. They're so big. What's he growing? And I don't know. I can't see the media. Wait a minute. Oh, that's what winning looks like. He's going to tell us all about something. I have no idea what he's going to tell us about.
It really helped me out.
Okay, listen. Anybody can grow buds if you don't kill your crop. Anybody can finish. The art is not in finishing.
So what happened was when I brought it inside, the fungus gnat population just blew up. And
the only way you're going to get fungus gnats is you buy outdoor media, like from Home Cheapo, right? You get outdoor media because the bugs would just fly away outdoors. So what do they care? Or you get it from overwatering and the rot that happens in the media. So black gnats is always, but that's okay. Don't worry about black gnats. We're just going to sell this medicine. We're just going to give this medicine to people with bugs in it.
Mosquito dung, so just made the stuff wet, which just
or spray it with neem oil or something like that, probably, if it gets too bad, right?
It's you can't really see is some giant nugs of the.
That is not giant. That is entry level. Entry level.
I'm still entry level
nugs.
I'll get there one day.
So that's what's going on this week. Not too much.
Yeah. No, it's cannabis. It's a house plant.
Just talking about the one nug.
What?
Look at the size of that tub. That plant on the left could be in a 1-gallon bucket. What is he saying?
The upcoming contest is going to be
photosynthetic.
December 1st. So Just to highlight, just to go over.
Just to go over. This is what happens when you grow outdoors and you bring it indoors. You get lots of bugs.
Well, you can grow as many plants as you want.
As many plants as you want.
One to the draw, but one plant, one nug, no side branching, none of that. You can have side buds on the.
I don't know what any of that is.
So I'll throw a picture up here of.
Okay, throw a picture up there.
So they've kicked in some grow bags. Joe over there. There, Mr. 5K Meth Head. We appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, listen, I would stay on this one too. Oh no. Good call.
Some up here. Canopy clips are about the best training clip on the market. They're
so stupid. Great product.
Crazy.
Absolutely worthless.
They're
absolutely worthless.
Below in the description. Check that out. Come on over. We'd love to have you.
Tone G just fucking rocks. All right, so here's School of Chapo.
What's up, guys?
What's up?
A few days later.
Look at that. Listen. If you just stopped right there, you would be off to a good start, right? If you just stopped right there, you'd be like, oh, the legs are less than half of the canopy. And then you start to get into the top and you're like, oh, listen, the guy's shaping him up better than he ever was. But here's the problem. See this canopy down here? See this down here? You might as well throw it all away. Unless you start flowering right now. And even if you start flowering right now, you could clear every bit of this off of the bottom. And suddenly, when you add this amount of leg, and then you strip
the bottoms, it'll grow even
this
taller.
whole entire bottom canopy off of it. You'll just be left with top 6 inches, and you'll have a foot of leg and 6 inches of canopy. And that's why once you weave it into the trellis, you should start flowering. You better have your canopy in order because this is off now. I mean, you have now entirely missed. You can finish, whatever. But anybody that doesn't kill their plants can finish. Hell, even these idiots like Lex Blazer, who burn the shit out of their plants, claim a win. So this guy is, listen, and compared to what he used to do, oh my God, there are few people that kill a plant and tell you how smart they are, like School of Chapo. Few people can kill a plant and tell you how awesome they are, like Chapo. It's a tough thing to do when you're failing to just have the words come out of your mouth, but this is much better. But at this point, you've entirely missed the flower. He's still trying to fill in the trellis. Hasn't shaped up the bottom.
I didn't realize this is dig on chop, but it's funny that where he came from and how hard fucking
and lower them into this part of the canopy here and weave them into a trellis. But he's already weaved them into a trellis. So I don't know how he's going to fill up the rest of the trellis when the canopy is already 6 inches higher than the trellis. So just another, I can't even say it because he's the only one who touches his plants the way he does. Oh, there you go. Oh, I wonder how many plants there are. Oh, I don't know. I can't see the floor. Wait a minute. How many plants are there? I don't know. I can't see the buckets. Wait a minute. How many plants are there? I don't know. The canopy is so thick. Better than he's done. Sticky.
What's up, guys?
What's up? Oh, he's in big fucking buckets.
Just quick video.
Yeah, quick video.
A little bit of freak show. All the freak show clones.
Oh, he's growing.
Yeah, he grew that a long time ago.
I don't care what strain you grow. I don't care nothing about
What's
genetics.
up there,
You're all
Gorilla?
a bunch of fucking plant killers.
Silverback.
So I don't care what strain you kill. I don't care what strain. I don't care what genetics you burn to death. I don't care what phenotype you're going to kill. You're a bunch of fucking plant killers, so I don't care. But when you start off with the dumbest indoor cannabis plant, I'll tell you something.
Join some coffee.
The dumbest,
another joint.
Worst, shittiest, lowest producing strains always root the best when you take clones. And that's why you end up with a garden full of ridiculous plants. Instead of winning plants, not just because you guys are plant killers, but because the shittiest plants make the best roots. And all of a sudden, you're like 2 harvests deep, and you're like, where did the Kush and the White Widow and the Skittles and the Girl Scouts grow? And what you're left with is your most ridiculous plants. Why? Because they're the only ones that root, because you overwater, because you're a plant killer.
And then the cream cake that I'm gonna breed with.
Right now,
Gorilla's
9
the only
of
one that
these
has to buy a
plus
wrench
10,
for
1, 2,
$10.99
3,
if he
4
wants
of
one.
whatever the other one is. So
No,
2.5
I'm
to
joking.
1.
I get to it in a
Freak
second.
show.
Oh, nope, it's a
spring with I'm gonna actually take a bunch of clones off of this, drop this canopy down so it's all level down there.
Oh, see how sticky it is. See how tight the harmonics is when you
the ones that were in the solo cups. Yeah.
Yeah.
All just chilling under.
Chilling under.
New Kid Light.
Okay, so he's a Nuked fan, and we'll get to Nuked later in the video because Nuked's another insane grower. Insane. I mean, not just insane, like king of the mountain insane. I mean, Nuked is selling you equipment. He puts them over dead plants and tells you he's winning. At least the rest of you guys just do like a Mars Hydro raffle. Oh, I'm sponsored by Mars Hydro. Look at the light I have. I'm sponsored. I'm sponsored with a $99 light. I'm sponsored. The shit you guys say.
And I'll look for that one right now. Give me a second. Or I'll play that one next.
So
after
he's
this.
got
We
a
got
light
a while. This is like a 2.5 hour video. I don't think I'm going to go that
Go watch
fucking
Green
long,
Cacique. Go watch Cacique.
I'll look for that one,
Cacique
okay?
will grow one plant under that light this big around. So what are you doing with so many plants? Even if you don't overwater, plants convert light into energy. If you have too many plants, they get huge spaces between the nodes. Huge. Why? Because there's not enough energy. That's reaching for the light when you don't have enough light, and it's a rare thing that it happens. And it's an interesting phenomenon when you have too many plants for the light, because the last thing a good grower learns before they become a great grower is the minimum amount of plants necessary to grow the space. The shitty grower keeps adding plants because they're dead. And even if you stopped overwatering your dead, shitty, overwatered, shitty, dead plants, you will not have enough light to grow them correctly. And then you take a strain with a ridiculous strain, like whatever the freak show is. I don't really care. It just exacerbates the problem.
See, they're all praying, looking just fine. Reason for this video, though, I'm super excited. I got a new sponsor. I love growingmarijuana.com. Super cool. I messaged them and they were like, heck yeah, we'd love to sponsor your channel. So,
yeah, because they found you.
I have an affiliate link down.
That's not a sponsor. Let me tell you what a sponsor is. When I wrote this book, I must have got 50 pallets. 50 pallets. And I don't grow. I hate growing. It's slow. It's painful. It sucks. My face swells up. I must have got 50 pallets. 50 pallets of equipment. I got one pallet that was so tall, they had to send an East Coast truck because it was 13 feet tall. 50 pallets. That's sponsored. When they pay you to grow, when you get an affiliate software, when you get an affiliate link, what they're saying is, listen, do what the fuck you want. If you sell something for us, we'll give you a chicken nugget. You know what I'm saying? Here's some pigeon food. Here's some bird seed. But again, let me tell you something about growers. You guys are a bunch of insane fucker plant killers. It is spectacular how ridiculous you are. And it's not just that. You say things that come out of your mouth like, I'm going to believe it. You know what I mean? Like you tell your wife, oh, I'm sponsored. And they're just like, you know what I mean? They're just like reading their Better Homes and Gardens. And they're like, yeah, whatever, honey. Because you're insane. You are delusional. You are self-delusional. You're definitely self-aggrandizing. Oh, I'm sponsored. Let me tell you, in the history of growing cannabis, there has been one person who has been sponsored from China. And it's Welcome to the Grow Tent. Go watch Welcome to the Grow Tent. His garden looks like this.
Yes.
Now, Welcome to the Grow Tent is sponsored. China pays him cash. It's not an affiliate link where if you happen to sell us something for us, we'll send you $1 and some bird seed because you're a, you know what I mean? Because you're a nugget. No. That is not sponsored. That's an affiliate link. Affiliate is not sponsored. Calling yourself sponsored when you're an affiliate is straight delusional. Join over 1 million people and grow your own. Oh, listen. Join 10 million people. Come to the Grow Boss. 10 million people and grow your own. So I love growing marijuana. Here's a Grow Bible. Oh, okay. There you go. Knock yourself out. So here's I love growing marijuana. These are the people that sponsored him. Think about how stupid you must be as a manufacturer. Manufacturers don't grow weed. I go to the trade shows. I have booths at the trade shows. They pay me to be in my magazine. I know the manufacturers. They drink. Manufacturers don't smoke weed. They drink. They don't know what good weed is. They don't know what a good-looking plant is. If they knew what a good-looking plant was, why would they sponsor this fool when this guy here, you can't even see the floor anymore? And that's because this is insane. And telling me you're sponsored like you're fooling me, oh, I'm sponsored, is insane. And that's why 99% of you fail. Because growing cannabis doesn't have anything to do with that cannabis. You've got to be regular. You got to be stable. You have to be based in the real world to grow cannabis. And cannabis grows by itself. But when you're insane and you can't keep a straight line and you're self-delusional and you say things like, I'm sponsored, you can't grow cannabis. Cannabis is a 5-month process. Start a seed for a month, veg it, you know what I mean? Get it in a party cup for a month, veg it for a month, flower for 2 months. You're into this for 5 months. If you're not a stable individual, it is a very difficult thing to grow cannabis because you have to be consistently normal. And you can't do that. And plus, listen, I know 10,000 growers. You guys are all insane. I mean, guilty, just as guilty. You guys are all insane. Because you say things like, I'm sponsored.
So they got really good deals. Buy 10, get 10 free. Okay, so that's buy 10, get 10.
Oh, buy one, get one. Buy 10, get one. Buy 10, get 10. Okay, they got a BOGO. That's a really good deal. So business is down, so they're lowering their price, but they don't want to lower the actual price. So what they're doing is doubling the quantity they send you. Well, you kill as many seeds as you want. They probably picked them out of a Hermie anyway.
1 for 1. It's a killer deal. Like I said, I'll put the affiliate link down at the bottom. I love growingmarijuana.com.
The shit you guys.
How's it going, folks? I'm Matt. This is Photosynthetic.
I'm Sean Austin.
It's no fault on them. It's more of the way that I go about process.
Do any of you guys know what the word Gia means here on a shirt? Gia green. Gia is the name for Mother Earth, I think, like Mother Nature, Mother Earth. What's this guy's going to tell us all about? This dead ass garden in the background. What's this? Oh, this is Photosynthetic. Let's see what he's got for us here. Oh, he's a Soil Life 420 grower. Except Soil Life wins now. This is Soil Life. Just to give you an idea. That's a plant, big fucking bucket, healthy fucking plant. Oh, shut up. Oh, you got a little cola. Yay, you got one. Ooh, you got a cola. Dude, look at this fucker's garden. Look how big. It takes 2 people to put your arms around that plant. That's the start of flower, and every one of those will be colas.
Let's talk.
Okay, here's the problem. I'll show you what the problem is. Every plant in this garden is the same. It's brilliant. It's perfect. They're dead fucking even. You can't see the floor. You can't see the buckets. You don't know how many plants there are. He's got a second trellis for what? Hopes and dreams? Is he going to put nickels in there? What the fuck is the other trellis for? You're already in flower. Where the fuck is it going to go? You've got more empty holes than full holes. What? What? What do you do? Right? What?
Plants. All right.
Oh, I'm sponsored. Mars Hydro sponsors me. The shittiest, cheapest, direct from China light on the planet. I'm sponsored by the shittiest equipment, the cheapest equipment on the planet. And my garden is just awful. Oh, no, no, it put me to the end, my friend. I am saying I could just go to sleep watching you be a plant killer. Okay, this is Prodigy. I've been making fun of him for fucking years now. He's been growing for 10 years. Let's see if he has a cola. This guy used to have his light on top of his plants. He used to have 10 different kinds of nutrients. He had 10 different kinds of lights. He was always switching equipment. Oh. This is the guy we call facility legs. And now you know why. The legs should never... Listen, if you're growing chopsticks, brilliant. I mean, Prodigy is the guy you want to watch. If you want to grow chopsticks, there they are. There are a few people that grow more chopsticks, and this guy aspires to this. He literally says, I want to grow facility legs. Call me. He wants his nickname to be facility legs.
I call bullshit because
now, this
I've
isn't
seen
like
him
the guy who's like, hey, listen,
and
call me
Flav on his show.
And he pulls one out that hangs to his knee.
I wish I could
this
find
is the guy that says,
fucking
call me little dick.
The stream, Gorilla, when you were on his
and
show,
like,
you and Flav were up
you know
on
what
the
I mean?
panel.
Hey, he wants to be called failure.
I've seen it.
He's just so fucking proud of his. Look at that. Look at the amount of failure in those legs.
Why is because we're only on day 38.
I wish I could find it.
I'm starting just to see some crazy shit.
Indoor Promised Land, thank you. Look at that tiny bud. Oh. That's why I keep telling you, finishing isn't winning.
Somewhere in Girl
He's
Box
missing
talking about
85% of his yield.
You and Flav both
85%.
Up on.
He could literally get 8 times more than he's getting now if he would just do a couple of simple things. But no,
I wish I could find the fucking clip. Maybe he was watching you and Flav argue about something. Have you ever been on
They're a little too tall.
Same ground as Flav?
Should never be. Sorry. If you're growing, if you want cannabis, if you want colas and big buds and you want to be a fucking winner, the legs can't be longer than the plant. You can't have more legs than canopy.
I mean, listen.
Yeah.
I like.
Never mind.
No, don't worry about it. I've got a great tongue. Smallest dick, best tongue. Don't worry about it. I like it.
I love branches like this.
I'll have to look back in my history and see if I can find it.
Oh, dude. Even this guy. I'm not even going to. We'll save him. Indoor Promised Land. Just to give you an idea of what he's telling you. Okay. Just to give you an idea of what this is. Prodigy. You're watching this video. Okay, so this is his bud.
Talked about Gorilla.
Look at that. That's one plant. It's a 30-day veg. Those buds are 3 feet deep. The canopy is 3 feet deep, and it's 2 feet worth of legs max.
I don't know.
3 feet deep worth of buds. That's one
Go
plant,
back in my history,
and it took this dude all of these plants to fail. Watch him fail right there. Look at how drastically he fails. But,
it's like last
that's
week
not even the problem. The problem is the math.
Something. I was in the middle of something.
I like this.
He must have been talking about you.
Just can't.
It was like 5 years ago.
Okay, so here's a cola's 2 soda cans big. Each cola, 2 soda cans big. The trick isn't just growing colas. You need the diameter. If you double the diameter, you 4 times the volume. Well,
If you double diameter, you 4 times the area. If you double the diameter and the height,
I think it was like a link that
double
Boss
the
was
volume.
watching of
So
GG.
if you get
Yes,
something
you're
that's
exactly
equally
correct.
tall and double the diameter, you get 4 times the volume. 4 times. So just from going from shitty sticks to a cola that's twice, and
Yeah,
this is
exactly.
probably
You were outdoor growing.
It's probably 3 times the diameter of these buds, and it's
You were
all
like
stick.
in the bush or something.
I mean, just there's buds behind it,
or
so
in
it's
an
all stick.
apartment.
Just look at one. You can't have colas when you're full of sticks. When you have sticks for legs, see all the sticks? Watch, you'll just pull off one bud, no cola. See all this space right here?
Yeah.
See all that space right there?
It's a chopstick.
Oh, where does that exist? Look at that. That's 2 cola. Where?
Yeah.
Look at all the space. So
I get that
until you
too.
grow a cola, you're immediately missing 75% of your yield. I'm sorry, what was he saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I got the tiniest cola. I got the tiniest buds in the world. If you keep getting closer, it looks bigger. Oh, I got the tiniest apical cola. I have the smallest, best buds in the...
You know this fan doesn't even go anywhere?
So in my opinion, I think that these flowers...
When it's windy outside, I can hear it blowing through the fan, I thought.
Well, yeah, the fan
That's my
works, but
opinion.
it's just
You
blowing
guys
up
let me
into
know
the
what you
soffit.
think. Do you think that these
No,
flowers came out
it's not
better
going
than my
outside.
last run?
Really? I thought when it's windy outside, I can hear it echoing through it. I think maybe it goes up through somewhere else.
Into the wall, it goes up. I
Maybe.
don't know.
There you go.
Opinion. You guys let me know what you think. Do you think that these flowers came out better than my last run on?
No, I think you've been a shitty grower for coming up on a decade. Look how tiny those fucking nugs are. And where are they? Look how tiny
Watts,
that
you
is.
ready to watch that training video, or you want me to go on here?
Sorry, what were you saying? Okay, just the floor, the buckets, the dirt, the legs. If your legs are
You guys
tall
gotta
longer
hang
than
out
the
and
canopy,
watch a
you
little
can't
bit.
grow a cola.
You let
That's
me
not
know,
how it
or
works.
do you want me to? Sure.
You
I
can
think so.
see the back wall.
I just
right
remember
through his
I
canopy.
miss these types of rants though. You can't see the
I
back
can't.
wall.
Is there a wall back there? Who knows?
Exactly.
Right? I mean, it could be maybe like a little half wall. Maybe there's some Halo soldiers on the other side
at that.
hiding from you.
can't
You don't
see
know
through that right
because there's
there.
so much. That's one fucking plant. 30-day veg, one fucking plant.
What's that? Missed the assignment. I think this is the one that you were talking about, Watts.
Hi, I'm the Grow Boss. I write the Grow Book and Equipment Guide, and in this video, we're going to go over trimming. Okay, this one really got away from us, right? It got pretty tall, it got pretty stretched out, so there's not too much we can do with this plant, and if you grew this much plant, well, you'll see when I'm done trimming it why it was such a waste. Remember, we always trim from the bottom up because that's where the bugs come from, and those are always the smallest buds.
And if you want more information about the skills it takes to shape up your plant, like topping and lollipopping and super cropping your plants so you get the shape that you want for your light and your garden looks like this, well, you can find all that in my Grow Book and Equipment Guide and in my No More Grow More fact cards. Now, let's get back to trimming.
Okay, again, a lower branch. Do you think that this branch can catch all the way up? Well, I don't think so, because it's pretty far from the top, and look how far we've already cleaned it up. And even if we strip this branch down, so we lollipop it, so there's only the top growth. Even now, do you think this branch is going to be able to catch up? even if we ran this branch right through the middle, do you think this branch is going to be able to catch up? I don't. So, there it goes. This branch might catch up. So we strip it down. And we lollipop the one above it too. And now these two branches might stand a chance up in the middle.
But that's how you get 2 foot legs.
Okay, remember how I told you at the beginning of this video that if you had plants this big that you let them get out of control? And that's because if the canopy is only the top 1 foot of this plant, then we got to ask ourselves, why did we spend a month growing the rest of this? We should have been able to get this canopy down here. And now suddenly our lights would have been further away, right? It would have been way less veg time and way less electricity spent on growing this plant. Remember, the canopy is everything you want. This is where all the flowers are going to happen. So in something like this, the only thing that we could do now would be to flower it like this if there was enough space, or we would have to bend and break the branches down like this. Then, if we put a trellis over the top, we could take this top and put it in one square. We could take this top and put it in another square. And we could take this top and put it in another square. And now a couple of things happen. One, we can fill up a lot of squares with just a couple of branches. And two, look at how much lower this is. So I just took a foot off the plant. We put all these tops into the squares of the trellis. And now we have a plant that's much lower. But again, there was no reason to grow all of this height if we were trimming and topping and lollipopping early on. We never should have grown all of this. All of this material was a waste. If we had concentrated our growth into just the tops we want, instead of this being a 5 or a 6 week old plant, we would have got the same results down here in 3 or 4 weeks.
So let's just do a quick review. This is what she looked like when we started the video. And this is what she looks like when I was done trimming her. Which is exactly why we're trimming her up. Because you don't want to put a plant that's too big under a light. You want to weave it into a trellis because you want all that extra weight, right? The last thing you want to do is put too big of a plant under a light because then they're going to end up in the lights. Like in this video that I shot for Garden Rescue in Old Navy's garden. That's also why you want to watch my Nickel City 1, 2, and 3 light Bad Boy T5 rotation, because you really got to watch the shape of the plants, again, or they're going to end up in the light. And I know this video was about trimming, but if you want more information, keep watching, because I'm going to go ahead and weave her into a trellis.
Okay, so let me show you how to put a 4-foot plant in a 3-foot tent. Start by sliding it off to one side and laying the whole thing down. Now, if you have 2 plants, this works better because you can put one on the other side and run it over here above this area. Okay, so now this thing's like a vine. Let's try to lower it down a little more, and then we're going to start weaving the branches into the trellis. Okay, so watch. So we're going to take this branch, and it's super soft and pliable. You don't have to worry about it breaking. And we might take one branch on top, and we might go underneath with another branch and lay it down like this. Bring it up through another one. Then we'll take this branch here, and we'll lay it down, bring it up and over. I'm going to split it so this one goes under and this one goes over. And I'm going to weave this one into this space and this one into this space. Woo! This one here, already in position, it's going to come out. Take a long branch like that. I'm just going to twist it up and warm it up a little, bend and break it. And
thread it through, bring it up, and underneath. And I'm not quite sure which ones are going to turn up and which ones I'm going to keep. But you can already see I'm filling in the spaces all the way back here.
Yeah. He's twisting and warming them up into them. I've never really laid them down like totally like that, but I've used some of that technique for like a runaway branch. But usually certain branches will just get a hole in itself, or
bend and break it, warm it up
depends.
a little.
That's all a different technique there. That's more of scrogging.
Okay, this one's got a couple of nice tops.
Trellis.
At least these two right here. I don't know about these yet. So around the outside, under this, and I'm going to put this top in this one and this top over here. Now, this top may come up. There are two tops now in here. There's a third one down here, so it may be too much, but we have to wait to see. I know we covered a lot today, so take your time, think about it, watch the video again. Just make sure to click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and buy my grow book, because everything we discussed today, it's all in there. And growing can be tough and frustrating, especially after all the money you spend. So call me before you quit.
I don't know. To get this other one, we can go back to this one, I guess.
So what we're really going to start seeing,
what are we going to start
seeing? Coming pretty soon.
Oh yeah, don't worry about the weight. Don't worry about. I don't know how you can get the best quality with half the weight. If the plant is supposed to, if the light should get you a pound and you get half of that, I don't know how you can clean quality.
Yeah, I was able to pull it out.
Who cares?
It only cost me $60, but I think so.
Half the fucking weight or less, because the veg was so long.
Day 38.
You guys are just delusional.
I flush at around day 50.
Right.
Okay?
I think so too.
So
thanks, Junior.
Around day 65, maybe even later than that. But I want to start my flush.
I think Cowboy's coming in to do it.
I don't know.
Flush,
but you can do it too. That's.
I guess I need a better clip.
Oh, it's green.
Give me a second.
So I'll keep you guys.
Go into.
Yes, they are shitty. But the whole harvest.
Find that we want.
The legs. The legs are just spectacular. Oh, the legs. The legs. But hey, he's a facility grower. Listen to this part.
So that's pretty much it.
That's I'd say so.
Shitty clones, and yes, they are shitty.
So what we should do is we should take shitty clones and keep growing them so we get shitty plants. Because if it takes 30 days to fix a clone, that was your veg, man. If it takes 30 days to clone and 30 days for veg and 2 months to flower, that's 4 months. If you don't have to fix your clone, it's 30 days to veg and 60 days to flower, that's 3 months. Going from 3 to 4 months is a 33% increase in time, which, as far as I can tell, translates into going from 4 months to 3 months is 25% less yield than you should have got.
Hey, Watts, here's another one that is kind of like the same thing, but this is him in Texas, in Prohibition days, in a field, trying to show people how to shape their plants.
Plants that get the most light, they get a second chemical that creates in them through the photosynthesis process that redirects her energy toward the stuff with more light. So in this plant, this is break. That was a pretty rough break. But now if I take the top off, what's going to happen? Yeah, the other branches are going to come out. That's topping. here, this branch.
Mike,
Now I
see,
have
I'll try
two
to
tops
find
here and here.
See if
I might
you
be
can watch
tempted.
an old episode of him.
Ooh, that was too hard to break.
If you know
This is a
how
pretty
many,
sticky plant. Yeah, it's not
maybe
going to do anything. I
where
might be.
you saw it.
Yeah, I might be tempted to lower it
3 or 4
by doing it
different
like this, and
robots,
now I have
like,
two tops. Well, actually, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 tops. But by doing it like this, suddenly I get more tops in the space. I might be tempted to strip off the lower branches.
Well, what I normally do, I just go ahead and top it off, and then I find three to four branches, and I put away all the other branches.
And everything else will try to catch up. You would strip off the lower ones, so you're just left with this. And now all the energy will be concentrated. So you lollipop the, now I'm looking for fire ants everywhere.
Yeah,
You lollipop the bottom, so it concentrates the effort into the branches, and you top the top, so that can't go anywhere. And if you came back in 2 weeks, this plant would be much wider, and this plant would be much taller. You can see the side branching starting over here. On this plant over here, you can see the side branching starting. So on this one, oh man, I'm tired again. You got to break the inner herd. You got to warm it up.
This is the Indian.
Hey, come here. Come here. There's fire ants. Come here. Nope. It's just too stocky. When you look at this, you can see that there's a hole in the middle and then holes around it.
Right.
That's how the stuff goes up and down.
The xylem in
The what?
the xylem in the
Yeah, the xylem and the
aluminum.
foam, yeah. I can take this top out, and all these side branches are going to come out now. You can see that the sickest leaves are at the bottom because that's always where the problems start, at the bottom. So you strip this down, and now you can see the canopy is from here to here, and it's nice and healthy. These branches will come out now. If you were in a scrog, you might do this, and all these branches will turn up now. If you look at just this part of the plant, you can see it's not getting what it needs down here, so you'd strip it.
That's your big problem. That's your lollipop, right?
Yeah, that's lollipopping.
Get rid of that bottom stuff. You don't want it. Right.
Right. This is where the problems come from.
2 weeks
So,
into flowering, I take it off. I'll leave it there for the first 2 weeks.
but you can see now that your canopy is kind of unwieldy. So you might very well take the top off of it. Now you have a canopy that's a little more under control. This is still higher than this, but this will catch up here, and suddenly all this will be the same height. This branch will come up. This branch will come up. In fact, there's so many branches like that, you may want to do this, and now your whole canopy is almost the same height. All this branch is the lowest, this one, and these two are now in the middle.
Based on average 8-foot ceilings, you just want to keep everything below your elbow.
Yeah,
Which is hard. Here, chop, chop,
but
chop, chop,
unless
Why does that work? Because it grows so fast.
that's a grower. That's a grower. Now you look at this and you can see.
And everybody loves that big giant cola at the top.
Yeah, but you can still get all those colas.
That one big 200. Wouldn't you rather have? And it's so much easier to clean.
And now you can see the shape of this one plant right here.
Sure, I'm proud of that one cooked tomato.
It's even. What's in the middle, now that we've stripped this, we can take it down to here. And now what's in the middle are all of these tops and a 2-foot canopy. These two small ones in the middle here will quickly catch up. And all of a sudden you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tops. Now clearly you should have flowered earlier, right? You should have quit vegging because you could see how long the stick is. But if you just had a plant that looked like this in a container, you could see nice tops. You could run them out into a scrog, into the trellis. This one will be the same height. This big one on the outside will be the same height as one on the inside. And the inside one will start to go faster, and it'll catch up to this one. This one will come up. So if you want this to grow even faster in the middle, you just take the top part, get rid of the rest, and now that one has nowhere to grow except up. That's lollipopping. This is lollipopping. And now you have even more on its way up, and this one can turn up now as well. So you've got these tops. Now you've got about 2 feet worth of canopy. In 2 weeks, these will catch up. You may or may not keep that one, but this one would probably go into a center square. This one would come out. This one would be further out. You might take another plant and put a branch in this space from another bucket, but they're all kind of far apart. So this is like a well-groomed, if it was in a bucket, this would be fairly well manageable. Not the best example, but I think you get a pretty good idea for it.
Yeah. Let's see here. Let me go over here.
Because they run out of nitrogen early on because there wasn't enough, because there was a problem. If Well, anyway, I went back and got Vimeo restreaming, so I can be doing this on 2 different. So I could be doing this on 2 different
Yeah.
YouTubes.
I hope he doesn't smoke it too.
Channel. Okay, so this is my
Gooseberry
live stream.
Clones. There you go. Levels just popped a new video. You guys go out and go watch that.
There's one concurrent viewer, which seems to be me.
Well, that was in Prohibition days. That was like in Texas, and he's at a hydroponic store and giving those like a Texas, you know, it was
Vimeo.
He's using what he could
Education.
just to explain what he could. It was pretty cool, actually.
Education is getting this with the education is getting live stream. All right, hang on.
I
It's
don't know,
the
the
first time
volume
I've
is
tried
so
this.
low, isn't it? Sorry, guys. I don't know.
Okay, so this one's so no one's on this one. That's weird. On the
well,
one.
It's about 9 o'clock. I've been on for about 2 hours. I'll have to research some more good videos, make a good playlist, and get back to y'all. Hey, thanks for hanging out, smoking some weed, and drinking some coffee with me.
Platforms.
I don't know. I have to find some highlights or something. Sometimes it gets slow. So
Live with the
I think Viking said the best is Grow Boss is fucking awesome. Oh wait, he also said yield is based on light.
This is live. Okay, so this is the live channel. Okay,
Bust it in or heard, you heard.
This one now. I'm starting to restream across.
And on that note, I'm leaving. You guys all have a great night or a great day. Later.